All right, so we're continuing the rebuild now of the car. Again, so recapping real quick, the wing is back together, so I need to paint it. Side skirts are back together, I need to paint those. Today is gonna be, well, start of, I'm gonna do the splitter, and super stoked with the way these things look. I was really curious what was gonna happen with them, but honestly, I love the way they look. 15 by 8 plus 35 Koenig hypergrams. Super loving the way these look. I did lift the rear, so as of right now I can get, in case anybody's curious, just sort of like a little bit there of fingers. You can get 2 in. It's about the same in the front. Now, I raised the rear up quite a bit because looking at some track video or pictures from last time, the wing was doing a lot of work. Now, I had a lot of angle on it. I'm not gonna have that much on it when I go back at next time, but the rear definitely squatted. As far as poke, it definitely's got a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell without the bumper on, but get a rough little idea. Again, I haven't washed the car yet, but looks super aggressive, I think. That being said, I will show you, I'll either put the clip right after this or I'm gonna show you later, but the clearance on the rear for the trailing arm is like, I can maybe put like one business card in between the tire or the wheel and the rear trailing arm. Tons of ideas I've seen a lot of people do between notching it, yada yada. I'm gonna put one of the RPF ones back on it to get a reference of how much clearance I did have. And then I'm going to put these back on with a 3mm spacer. The thing is, I don't want the tires to poke so much. There's no wide body kit on it. I don't want it to have a wide body kit. I think it looks super friggin' aggressive and I am stoked with the way it looks. Car is not gonna get painted until after this event. I kind of put the molding back on. We're gonna ride with a little bit of some battle scar action. So today, or the start of Alumilite. This is a 3mm piece. I have another 3mm piece I'm gonna get to in a second. Yes, it is white. I think we got a pretty good deal on it. So it is what it is. We're gonna end up painting them, but the other side is covered still. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna glue 2 3mm together to make a 6mm. I've got some 3M 08115. This is a panel adhesive. So what I already did to this one is I already scuffed it up with 350 grit or 320. And I'm gonna do that to another one out there. I'm gonna show you in a second. And then I'm gonna pretty much adhesive this, whatever together, glue it together, put some tires on it, some wheels, and just kind of let it, cure for 24 hours. Then we're gonna bolt it up. We're gonna cut as we need. And this one will be a tad bigger than the other one. I'm not gonna get ridiculous, but after watching how much the rear squatted from that wing doing, putting in some work, I need the front to also be functional. Nothing against my plywood one, but it wasn't technically made, I guess, per research, accurate. Front splitter rods were also not, they were just kind of faux. They were just there. Can't show you they're covered, but I will get there. I also ordered some professional awesome splitter rods, so that's gonna be real. It's gonna be a much better splitter. So let me get outside and let's kind of get this thing going. So this is what it looks like. It's got some sawhorses right now. I'm just gonna peel this whole thing off, grab my Milwaukee here with some 320 grit and just kind of go over the whole thing to scuff it up for the adhesive to have a nice good bond. All right, so again, here's a 3M 08115. Comes with these 2 little mixing tubes. Essentially, I guess once it's used, can't be used again, so we're only gonna use one today, hopefully. I do not have, there's a gun that obviously pushes these out equally. I do not have that. I'm gonna try to start off with just pushing them with my thumbs and push them equally. If not, we're gonna go with some screwdrivers or we're gonna figure that out as we go. But looks pretty self-explanatory. Basically just push these 2 in and then turn this. And essentially, this comes off with that. Put that aside. And you simply just screw this on, I think, or you just kind of sit it on top. And as you push it through, it'll kind of come through here and it'll automatically mixes. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got like some chambers in it. So we are going to now, I got one here, the other one's over there. I'm gonna pretty much just kind of try to put this around the perimeter. And then I don't know, I really don't know what to do. Maybe some dots, maybe some zigzags, and then spread it out with a, a spreader. Lay that on top, put some tires on it. I'm trying to get as much, again, I'm not gonna be able to cover the entire panel, but as much as possible, because again, there will be mounts bolting in, holding together. There'll be some other stuff holding it, but the main thing is definitely at least the edges, held together. So see how this goes and we'll pick it up. All right, so I was gonna use my hands, literally just pushing with 2 fingers. I don't know if you can see this, but it's coming through. I'm sure the gun is nice. My fingers are probably gonna get tired, but moral of the story is I can kind of push this out. Whoop, I spoke too soon. All right, I'm out of breath. I didn't show you what it looked like. I tried to smear it out as much as possible. I had 2 containers. I used both. Hindsight 2020. So the idea was to glue both these together, then cut it out. I feel like it'd be a little more, it'd stay, you know, it'd look better, I feel. That being said, because of that, I probably used a little more excess. I probably should have made the splitter first out of that one. That way I'd have a shape and I would know how much I need to use. I try to spread that stuff all over the place. If I could give any recommendation, do not try to push it out with your fingers, or I used a hammer and some stuff just to kind of push from the back. Just buy the gun, or buy 6mm, you know, Alumilite. But I've got a bunch of stuff just laying on it. Hopefully that's good enough. I'm gonna let it sit like this for 24 hours and cross my fingers that it works out. So now let me go to the back of the car and I'm gonna try to show you the rear, how it's set up. There's the clearance. It does roll, so there's that. You can see how much clearance there is there. So I know there's people that notch the rear, all kinds of different things people do. You could run a bigger offset, you know, and then it's just gonna stick more out of the car or out of the wheel well. What I'm gonna do is jack it up. I got some 3mm spacers. They are not thick, they are 3mm. So I'm gonna put them on, kind of just check out how much it sticks out. Again, I don't want the car to like look like it's got this, I don't know, ridiculously weird wide tire thing going on. It is hard to, you know, get a good visual representation with the side skirts still being, you know, the aluminum, not painted black, but I'm gonna do it and we're gonna see how much room we get. I'm kind of curious to see how much room I have with the RPF ones too, just so I have a reference piece, you know what I mean? All right, so I debated it for a minute. And when I debated was taking off the rear trailing arm. She's off. So the intent was maybe just to go to the track, see if it rubbed, and if it did, you know, I was gonna mark with a paint pen, see if it rubbed the rear trailing arm, then add a 3mm spacer, see if it rubbed again, add a 5, but ultimately all that would do is tell me I have to do something later on to fix this. By putting more offset out towards it, out towards the fender that is, you know, if it's poking out, I'm exaggerating, but this much, when the car goes to compress, the tire is essentially just gonna hit. So I kind of want as much as I can tucked up in the fender well to utilize as much as I can. So trailing arm is off. And what I noticed, I don't know if it was in the video earlier, you might be able to see it. This is not from these wheels. I don't know what wheels these were from. It could have been the slipstrings, could have been something, I don't know. But nonetheless, you can already see where a tire was rubbing in the past. So it's pretty easy, right? I get a good mark. So now what I'm gonna do though is put the tire and the rim up here just to get a real good visual of where the tire could potentially hit. I'm gonna mark that with a Sharpie or a paint pen, and we're gonna kind of see what we're gonna do from there. All right, so I don't know if I actually recorded it or not, but one is on there. See the other one I just kind of got lined up here. It's taped. I know it does not contour here, so what I'm gonna do is essentially tack it in a couple spots and then beat around it with a hammer to get it to fit onto the trailing arm. All right, so there you go, right? You can see it's kind of got some rolled edges now. I kind of hit it around on the top and you just sort of massage it into place so it just makes it easier to weld. And now we're just gonna run a bead around it and then really, all right, so now we're on the reverse side. This one does not look as good, but essentially just got a little piece around the edges. You can see what it, you know, looks like from the reverse side. I'm gonna kind of lay that in there, tack it, and then hammer down the outside edges. What I'm also thinking of doing is, some people have suggested it, be grabbing like some 1-inch flat stock or whatever, and just kind of coming across at an angle, like welding maybe 2 little quick pieces in, just for some more rigidity on that. All right, ran those plates in the inside, kind of did some small little beads there, and then ran these 2 other plates on top. So that way, if it tries to, you know, essentially buckle and bend this way, it has those horizontal plates in there that are going to try to stop it. And then these other 2 that are running perpendicular to the way that it'd want to bend, which I think would stop it also. They'd have to be bending lengthwise of this, which would be a real pain in the ass. So I think this thing's gonna be pretty safe. All right, I think it turned out pretty well. Here's what it looks like again. Quite a bit of clearance. Let me just put the wheel on now. So you can kind of see how much clearance it has there. I know it's not mounted in the car, but this will get me something at least. All right. Check that out. Tons. And again, I had a spot that was showing me, you know what I mean, where it was rubbing before. I went just a little bit past that on both ends. So hopefully that'll work out pretty well. All right, so wiped it off, reinforced. I think it looks really good. I just sprayed some Krylon Max Paint and Primer Satin Black, just to kind of give it a quick refresh. I know I could have actually blasted it, went through all of it. And I also saw, someone sent me a reinforcement for the entire back that PCI makes. All right, super exhausted. I don't even know where this video left off at. My buddy Matt came by to help me out. If I sound like I'm exhausted, it's because I am. I'm running out of time here. I got about another 2 weeks, but I got a lot of things planned throughout the week that I won't be able to get to my car. So the other rear trailing arm is done. Letting the paint dry, and I will reinstall that. Car is still up in the air. This, I did fix this issue. It was just a brake situation. This is the Alumilite. We glued it together. It is up there. I kind of followed a similar shape as my previous wood one. I cut this main portion out here, and that was to allow me to use the lift point on the innovative traction bar. Now I probably will make this go a little further back over time, because I've got a ton of Alumilite still. Giant sheet there. I'm trying to make this a little bit more functional than the last one. So before I kind of just cut it and made a shape. Kind of stopped here because I wanted to show you guys. The idea is essentially it should be coming out 2 times whatever your height of your ride is from the bumper. So let's just say the bumper sits, let's just say 4 inches off the ground. It's up on jack stands, this doesn't count. But if your bumper is essentially, let's say 4 inches off the ground, 4 times 2 is 8. So it should be a total of 8 inches coming out from the front of your front bumper to be, I guess, in spec, the engineering aspect behind it. So this is like, I'll measure it again, but it's like 9.5 inches. I'm having to do a little bit of both, right? So I'm gonna try to follow as much as I can and make it like more legit. But on the other hand, I gotta be able to drive this thing out of driveways. This is not I know I keep saying it, everyone's like, this definitely looks like one. Not a dedicated track car. I still drive this thing to work, not at the moment, but I normally do at least once a week, drive to Cars and Coffee, blah, blah, blah. If I had this thing super ridiculous, I won't be able to get out. But it's already, if I make it, that's already more functional than it was before. So the other idea is, here's the Professional Awesome, mounts. What I think I'm gonna end up doing is dropping a bolt through the SI bar up here. It's gonna come down, and I'm just gonna essentially hook this in like this, and it'll come out. So these ducts are gonna be gone. You can see I tore the bumper up because, again, from the accident, it's kind of messed up, but this is not the final version of the bumper. This is all R&D stuff. But this bumper will probably be the one I'm using. I just need to get there first. So a lot of rambling. Let me trace this out. And what I'm doing essentially is dragging the extension here along in front of the bumper and just taking a Sharpie and go all the way around it and see what it looks like. All right, so here it is drawn. I think I'm actually gonna make this a little bit bigger, and I'm just gonna cut it so I can get some of this out of the way here. So you can see the inside bumper, we know this is bolted to the chassis. I gotta put the other bolts in there, but this is essentially, I just drilled a hole up here and I can move this around. So this will kind of come through the bumper like so. And same thing over here. I kind of use that same spot because it's in theory roughly the same on both. That is tied to the bumper support, which is tied to the chassis. So it should be a functional mount. And now, yeah, I'm just gonna put the bumper back on. Let's see how much clearance I got with those sitting there. And let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Jigsaw to get a rough shape. I know it's drawn, but I really just need to kind of see something to see what's happening here. All right, it's now 7:46 p.m. I think I've been in the garage since 9 this morning, so it's like I've been almost a solid 12-hour day. But I know I didn't record a lot. I'm just in a rush, just trying to get stuff done, but I do want to document it. I do want to show you guys in case someone else does look for something similar. So I reused my existing mounts that I used before. We kind of tweaked those. I also put a little bar out here, tie in a little bit of the edge. Did the same thing on the other side there. So it's got the 3 in the middle, 2 over the edge, and then now I'm gonna put the bumper on for you guys to show you the actual Professional Awesome splitter rods. All right, so the way you're about to see the car is the way that it's gonna go to the track. Splitters on, rear spoiler is set at just 1 down setting as opposed to, I think I had like 3 down settings, which caused, I think, way too much downforce on the rear wheels. So the splitter is extremely large. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. It's quite bigger than you may imagine or thought I'd make it, but I wanted to make it big, and that way I can cut it down at the track. So I'm gonna bring a jigsaw, cut off disc, whatever it is that I can probably do in a quick, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes and make the splitter smaller, because I don't want to overheat any of the tires. But here's what it looks like currently. Yes, it's huge. If you come out to where the splitter rods are, it's pretty dang rigid. If you come out to the very edge corner here, it's definitely flimsy here. So if I was to shrink this up, it would definitely be a really sturdy splitter. I think it is pretty sturdy for the moment. Also, what I didn't show you is I redid the grating in the front, the mesh. I took out the bumper ducts here, put some there, and on the opposing side, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I was kind of experimenting a little bit, but by putting some little plates here. So overall, looking at the side of the car, man, it looks just super aggressive. Really loving the way it looks. The way it sits right now, it got an alignment rack. I drove it to work. The splitter didn't die. Again, the main concern is actually the splitter really just causing maybe too much downforce in the front. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. The alignment settings I chose to go with are -2 degrees camber in the front, -2 degrees in the back. Toe in the front is 0.1 total toe in. So 0.05 total toe on each, or sorry, let me restart this. 0.05 toe in on each wheel on the front, which gave me a total of 0.1 total toe in. On the rear, it's just the reverse. So it's 0.1 total toe out. Hoping that'll kind of help the car rotate a little bit less. But as you saw earlier, I also fixed that passenger rear wheel. It was just a kind of a caliper. Was the rubber boot around the piston was kind of underneath the back of the pad. Don't ask how that happened, but it did. So I have a good feeling with the 225s, bigger wheels, just this whole setup. I got a feeling this thing's gonna just glide around the track, and I'm really stoked. I don't want to set any goals at the current moment, except for having a great time and the car just staying together. But she's going out just the way she is, battle damage and all. I've gotten from a remarkable amount of people, friends, saying just to leave the battle damage, leave the dents. I really don't know. I mean, you can see where the back bumper, I need to kind of tuck that in, but I'm just not messing with it yet. I got to paint down there still. And I have a door. I mean, I have a new passenger door. I like her looking good. I don't know. But something about it's kind of weirdly growing off me too, leaving it like that for a little bit. I don't know. It is what it is. But super stoked that this upcoming weekend is the track day. I had a great Labor Day weekend as of right now. I hope everyone else is having a great weekend. And hopefully, again, all this accident stuff is kind of helping people see some stuff. I know I went through it really fast. I know I said that probably 10 times during it, but I was just trying to, get in the grind here. The rear trailing arms, I was kind of worried maybe were they going to hold up. That's out of my back of my mind now. I think those are going to hold up fine. My biggest concern now with the track day is going to be the actual splitter. And I guess a secondary thing, but I don't think I should really be too worried about it, is this, I want to say, I can't remember what it was. I think it's 3/24 rod. If you look at it, it kind of bows when I push on it. I've been debating on putting a steel rod in between there and just welding a nut to each side and coming in, tightening it that way. But again, I think that'll be fine. All right, so I appreciate everybody for watching. Do leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comments below. I do know someone's gonna leave a comment about the rear trailing arm. I've already got a ton of those on Instagram. I honestly think it's gonna be fine. If I was wheel-to-wheel racing, maybe it was getting, rubbing and scrubbing against people, maybe that would cause an issue, but I don't think it's gonna be an issue. The splitter, yes, it's huge. That's a work in progress. We're gonna start with this track day and we're gonna kind of go from there. Again, I'd rather start big and cut itself down. I'm gonna probably, again, not modify it much from here, so we can just kind of see and get some results, and we're gonna go from this. This is the last time attack at our local season, at my local track, that is. But I will have some other track days during this year. But I hope you guys follow along with that, and I appreciate everybody for just following along with this build from the very get-go and see what it's turned into. And I know it's evolved super, super crazy, heavily, whatever you want to say about it. Love it, hate it, I love the car. I'll see you guys next time.